Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to answer a couple questions I've gotten from people over the last couple days, having to do with what does a day in carnivore look like? How do you figure out how much food and you're supposed to eat? Can you have dairy? Just different things like that. So, just a real quick to kind of give you an idea of how I figure out or the process that I go through to determine how much food I need to eat. Okay, um, I don't necessarily track macros. I do use macros in the sense of keeping a track or keeping an idea of how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat I want to have, but I don't do it by calories. I don't measure or weigh everything. Um, at least not now. When I first started, I did from a grams perspective, right? I've never really done the whole calorie thing. The idea of counting total calories and then telling people that total calories don't matter just doesn't make sense to me. So I've followed a little bit of what Dr. Naiman talks about with the power protein to energy ratio, and I kind of take that concept and give you one number. So whenever I work with somebody, basically what I do is I figure out what their lean mass is. And if you go to my Facebook page, I have a graphic. Go to the Apex Training System on Facebook. The very first pinned post you have on that page is the graphic and a little explanation of how I do this. Basically, your lean mass, your goal weight, whatever, pick a number, okay? I use lean mass. And that becomes your limiting amount of energy and your minimum amount of protein, okay? So I weigh 195 pounds. I have about 165 pounds of lean mass. So for me, every day, I try to get a minimum of 165 grams of protein. And I try to get a maximum of 165 grams of energy. Now, for me, because I'm carnivore, I naturally lean more towards having a lot more fat in my energy portion than my carbs. I don't bother looking at my carbs. Okay, I do not track carbs because I don't eat that many carbs. I think when I do put stuff in my Fitness Pal, the most I average is maybe 12 grams of carbs a day, and that comes from cheese and eggs that I eat. Pretty much, that's it. So the amount of fat that I'm eating pretty much comes from just the meat that I eat, right? I get fat from cheese, I get fat from eggs, I get fat from meat. I don't add oil, MCT oil. I may cook my eggs in butter sometimes, but then it's not a lot. If I need, so I do add one thing for oil, for fats. I do a protein shake before or after based on my schedule, how things are working. But I do at least one protein shake a day, and that protein shake always has some keto brick in it, right? So I do that. Just I like the energy. I like having that, particularly before a workout, to kind of give me some energy. It's kind of like my pre-workout with a little bit of salt, Equip protein powder, or Keto Chow, whichever I have available at the time, and then I get that going. So minimum protein. For me, 165 is my minimum. I usually am around 250, okay, because I eat a lot of meat. I eat a lot of protein. With that, I eat a lot of lean meat. So I do some fish and I do some turkey, mostly turkey. I'll mix in ground beef, but I'm a ground turkey guy. I like to cook up a lot of food quick and easy and then have it ready to go. The fats and the protein ratio for most animal-based foods are what you need it to be, from a perspective of 1 to 1. So 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of energy. If you look at that ratio, 1 to 1 is pretty much 30% protein, 70% fat. If I'm just eating mostly animal-based food, I'm getting that naturally. Most foods in combination, if you look at everything that I eat throughout the day, eggs are higher in fat, right? Turkey is not higher in fat, it's higher in protein. But all of that stuff together throughout the day, I'm focusing on an animal-based nutrition lifestyle. I get about a 30% to 70% ratio pretty much all the time. And that is at least 1 to 1. Now, for me, it's higher because my percentage is more probably along the lines of 50 to 70%, right? It's a higher amount because my protein, I do more protein than that 100%. But basically, keep your limit and keep your max one number, and it kind of makes it easier. You're just looking at grams of food. And when I talked about earlier about I used to track and I don't now, what I'm saying is once I started following this method, I would measure. I would cook up a pound, X number of grams or whatever, and then figure out, okay, what does that look like for my meal? How do I feel, right? If I cook a pound of meat, it cooks down to about 10 ounces. So I know, okay, this is what I'm looking at when I make a meal. If I do 2 pounds of meat, just figuring it out and playing around with the amounts of food, putting it in MyFitnessPal, seeing what it gives me from a grams perspective for the macros I'm trying to get. And then once you kind of do that for a few weeks, you should have a pretty good idea of, hey, this amount of food is about this, this, and this for fat and protein and whatever else. And then you can just kind of go based off of how you feel. Start tracking at the beginning to teach yourself how to be mindful of how what you're eating is affecting your body, how you feel energy-wise, how you feel with how full you are, and kind of translate that into educating and getting into the habit of looking at food and figuring out what works best for you. Okay, I don't track now. I haven't tracked consistently in probably a year or more, and I am maintaining right where I want to be. Okay, my body composition is good, my performance is good. I'm building lean mass. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting bigger. I'm getting faster. All these things are good, and I'm not tracking. I'm not stressing. I make my food. So just to give you an idea of what my day looks like, because this is one of the questions as well. I go to the grocery store. I get about 7 to 10 days worth of food. It costs me between $80 and $100. Okay, I get a lot of ground turkey. I do Boar's Head American cheese. I'm plugging Boar's Head because it's the best actual American cheese, not processed cheese product out there that I've been able to find. And then eggs. So in the morning, I used to do coffee. That might be another video. I am actually going for this starting today, but then really for the month of March, I'm going to try going no coffee and see if I notice any difference. Different discussion for another day. I have been doing coffee in the morning, black coffee. My first meal of the day is usually between 10 and 11. It's 6 eggs, and that's it. My next meal is probably, depending on my schedule, somewhere around 2 or 3, and that is about a pound to a pound and a half pre-cooked turkey. So about 12 to 16 ounces of cooked ground turkey or ground beef or combination. Sometimes I mix the two, with 4 slices of Boar's Head American cheese. Then I have a workout. I may do a pre-workout before that. And then in the evening, after my workouts or after classes or clients or whatever I do in the evening, then I have another pound and a half or pound of ground beef, ground turkey, and 4 slices of cheese. That's what I do. So I do about 2.5 to 3 pounds of ground meat, 6 to 8 slices of cheese, and 6 eggs in the morning. That's what I eat on a day-to-day basis. So it's not that complicated. When I go out to eat, I will order whatever I can that has meat in the order, okay? And I'll either ask to not have the other stuff sent with it, or I'll just put it off to the side when it comes to me. I do ask often if the server knows, or if they can find out how much meat is in a serving. So if I'm getting wings, how many wings is in a serving? If I'm getting a filet, is this an 8-ounce filet, a 10-ounce filet, a 12-ounce filet? What is it? If I'm getting Parmesan encrusted chicken breast, okay, is this a 4-ounce chicken breast? Is it a 6-ounce chicken breast? So things like that. Just ask questions and kind of get a feel for how things are going. And it all starts with tracking it first and then kind of learning from there. Okay. So it is possible to do it without stressing over food. You make your food, you keep going, and have a blast. Other questions that I got. Let's see here. Do I think keto carnivore or carnivore is better? Carnivore in and of itself is a keto diet. So looking at the differentiation and how we classify in humans, we like to break things up into different pieces. I would say try one, okay? And I'm not exactly even sure what the difference between keto carnivore and carnivore is, right? I think keto carnivore, from what I've heard people talk about, is where you are mostly keto, or sorry, you're mostly carnivore, and then you maybe do keto as a cheat kind of thing on the weekends, or you do a certain amount of carbs a few times a week. I don't even know how that even works. How do you classify keto carnivore? You're keto, right? You keep your carbs low, you get the fat that you need, you get the protein that you need, and you go from there. I think it's, instead of classifying what type of keto you are, why not just figure out what works for you? And do you need more protein? Do you need less protein? Do you need more fuel? Do you need less fuel? Most of the time, if you look on my page and you see that chart, or if you think about this idea of using your lean mass and adding protein and keeping everything else low, below that number, the lower you go on the fuel, the more body fat you're going to lose. The higher you go on the protein, the more muscle mass you're going to maintain or gain, and the more body fat you're going to lose. So the further away you can get from that number, right, whatever that number is you choose, basically the higher the ratio is of protein to energy, the more you're going to see body composition changes. Okay, so play around with that within your own life and figure out how you can make it work. Okay, I don't like to classify things. You're doing something that's going to work for you. Figure that out. And then let's see, another question. Talked about counting calories, macros. Yes and no. Do it at the beginning. Learn from it so that you don't have to do it long term. And dairy. Okay. Dairy is something that some people can do, some people can't. I don't know how much success I would have maintaining the level of carnivorous diet that I have without some cheese. I love cheese. It adds enough flavor. It adds that enjoyment to my food that allows me to eat it consistently, and I enjoy it. I look forward to eating my meals. And a lot of that is because of the cheese. Salt's the other one, but so I would say, saying that, I love cheese. It helps me sustain my diet. I know that I probably do better without it. Okay. I have a long history of lactose intolerance. I have a long history of cheese, dairy, milk, all types of things causing problems with my digestive system. Since I've been carnivore, it has not been nearly. It has been absolutely 100% better. 99% better. Doing cheese, I know that I go to the bathroom about the same number of times a day, once a day. But my stools are different when I eat cheese and when I don't. When I don't eat cheese, it is almost non-existent. I go in, I do my thing, and I'm out. When I do eat cheese, I tend to be in there for just a little bit longer, and there's more mass to what I'm excreting, what I'm getting rid of, okay? But the intestinal distress issues that I used to have are gone. Like I rarely ever fart, guys. And the whole idea of protein farts, this is a whole, I don't even know where this popped in my head. Protein farts, if you're eating a lot of processed protein. So if you do a lot of shakes, maybe you get farts, okay? I don't know anybody that I've talked to who has flatulent issues just eating meat. I know mine have gone from here to down here. I maybe fart once a month, right? No, I don't know. I don't count my farts. But it's a really positive experience going carnivore, going keto. Dairy, play around with it. If it bothers you, make the decision for yourself. Is it bothering me enough that I'm going to not do it? Or is it helping me sustain because I enjoy it and the impact it's having on me is nothing or is minimal compared to the benefits of all the other changes that I've made? Okay. So you really have to make that decision for yourself. In all of this stuff, all the information that you get from all of the people giving great advice, great scientific information, great medical information, just great experiences, on all of it, guys, you have to use your own filter. How does this affect my life, my ability to keep going forward, right? And the effect on my health, okay? If it's good for you and it's helping you sustain, then do it. If it's not good for you and it's making things stressful or a struggle, then maybe you shouldn't do it, right? Just because one person over here doesn't do anything but ribeyes all day long, or one person over here says you have to eat beef liver, right? Try it. If it's affecting you in a good way or a negative way, that's for you to decide. It's your body, it's your life. Don't listen to what people say and just do it because they have 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 followers. Okay? Apply it to you. If it works, then great. But yeah, that's all I got to say on that. Okay? You guys have to make your own decisions. It's nobody else's responsibility to figure out what works for your life. Okay? So those are just a couple questions to answer. Try not to stress over things. If you have questions, always ask. And I'll see you again soon.